Welcome back to Collab with Gab. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about growth and change and how both go hand in hand. So, a lot of people want and crave change, but they don't really do the work to get to the next level because most of the time it's uncomfortable and you have to do things that are not like in the norm. So I always refer change with humans as like repotting the plant because I'm like the plant lady. So whenever I'm like watering my plants and talking to my plants and I watch them grow, I watch some of them die, and it all depends on how much you water them, if they're getting enough sunlight, if they're getting too much sunlight, too much water, if they're not in a good environment, if they're near plants that they're not supposed to be around. All this actually really relates to humans. So my repotting the plant theory goes a lot with my personal life. So I've always felt like I've outgrown spaces, I've outgrown people, I've outgrown jobs, even just business locations in general. I feel like I'm always in a place where I need change, like constant change. I need sunlight. I do my best when I'm around positive people. And, sometimes I need to be alone too, So everyone's different. Everyone's going to work differently in different environments. So if you're looking to expand your business or if you're looking to start a brand, you have to do a lot of research and you got to figure out what's not working in your life and what's not working in your business. And it's really trial and error, which I am very familiar with trial and error because I was always too stubborn to listen to other people. And now over the years, I've learned that listening to other people and, having people give you feedback is very important. So, like for instance, when I was on Black Rock Turnpike in Fairfield, I loved the location. I thought it was we were always very busy, but I found myself wanting to add more chairs all the time. And I was like, I'm ready to get a bigger space. But also, I wanted to be in a different location. I felt like I needed a bigger parking lot, which is also really important in business. So because if you notice, there could be a really awesome space and a great business and there's no parking and they end up going downhill because a lot of people need convenience these days. I mean, if you think about it, we went from having to mail letters to people and calling people on regular house phones, pay phones, and now we can pick up the phone and text somebody and they get a text message immediately. So nowadays we really need convenience. We're spoiled in that sense. So social media is actually a huge part of your business, and whether you know how to work it or not, it's really important. It's hard. Like for hairdressers now, we feel like we need to be photographers, videographers, and working physically doing hair all day long. So like I'll be like mid haircut and I'm like, hey, somebody needs to record, and we all take turns recording like what we're doing throughout the day. Where we used to, it was just more of like a word of mouth business, which it still is, but people want to see what you're doing. The same thing goes for restaurants. You could have the most amazing restaurant with the most delicious food, but if people don't know about it, then you're kind of at a disadvantage because there's restaurants out there that have terrible food, but they have great marketing and they're always busy. And I hate to say it, but sometimes people go to places just for the vibe and they go for, to take that picture for Instagram. So part of what I'm doing with the Collab with Gab is I offer packages where I can go into your business and you can give me a full experience, and I go there with my friends and we try everything out and we like to see the ambiance, taste the food, the drinks, and we give our opinions. I've traveled a lot. I've seen a lot of places. I've been to a lot of places. I'm pretty bougie in a sense. So I know like what good is and what bad is and what intermediate is. So, and that goes for a lot of different things. That goes for traveling, for flights, for lounges at the airports. I know where the good ones are, I know where the bad ones are. I know where the good bars are and rooftops, and I know the best places for apps and for dinner and shopping. I love boutiques. I actually prefer boutiques over large shopping centers and malls because I feel like they're more unique, and I just like more unique things. So we're going to go back to when I wanted to open up a bigger salon because I like to be unique. It was really hard for me to find a space that I felt fit me. And with the whole repotting the plant, sometimes you need to find the pot that works best for the plant. So I was looking around for a while. I actually had almost opened in a couple different locations prior to opening where I am currently. And for some reason, I just, one thing would happen to one space and the other, and it just didn't feel 100% right. But when I found Post Road location, I got a call from my realtor, and he's like, hey, I know you want a bigger space. This one's kind of similar, square footage wise to what you already have. He goes, but I think you're going to like it. So I was like, all right, let's go check it out. So when I showed up at the space, it was actually a karate studio, and there was a big blue mat on the floor and a big mirror on the wall. And I don't know why, but I walked in there and I was like, this is it. This is it. And I just fell in love with the space. There was a ton of windows, which is all the lighting that I was craving, and worked really well for what I was looking for because we do a lot of color, and with doing hair and having, colorists, we need natural light. So I was like, this is it, sold. So I started with the work, and I was actually going to keep both locations, but then COVID happened. So that's a whole nother story. But so this is why it's important to take everything into consideration. And when you're traveling, even a lot of people are afraid to go on vacations because they say they don't have the money, or you got to find a way to do these things, where I've always gotten creative with finding ways to make things happen. So I designed the salon off of ideas of places that I've traveled to. And I actually have this giant moss chandelier in the center of the salon that I found in Miami, and I found it at the one hotel. At the time, there was a store there called Plant the Future. It's actually not there anymore, in Miami still, but I called them. They sent me their website. I went on the website. I found all the cool moss lettering for the wall and everything. And I was like, this is going to be the focal point. And then I just started basing everything off of that. But if I didn't travel and put myself out there and just do it, then I wouldn't have known if I liked that or not. So anyway, eventually I want to open up a salon in Miami, and I'm going to make it happen. It's just, I have a lot of kids, and I feel I'm set here until they're a little bit older. But until that day comes, I will be focusing on my online businesses that I will be starting up soon, which one of them is my clothing line. It's sportswear. And then I have my hair product line that's coming back out. I used to have it, and then I discontinued it for a while because I wanted to revamp it. And it's called Gavali, the Rebirth Edition, because every strand deserves a second chance. And that goes for everyone. Everyone deserves a second chance. So if you feel like you're failing in life or in business or relationships, whatever it is, you got to figure out what's not working, and you have to really make personal changes. As you guys know from watching my Instagram, I love to go to the gym. I like to work out. I take care of myself. And it's because I want to see the results. I want to see myself growing and getting toned. And I like to challenge myself. So I'm training for a high rocks right now that I will be doing in Miami with my friend Julie. We're very excited. We're taking it very seriously. But in order to go to a marathon like that, you have to train. I was talking to my friend Lori about it, who's done several high rocks, and she's like, you can't just go without training. You have to train for months. And I'm like, at first I was like, no, I can do it. And then I'm like, no, I really got to focus and train. So that's where, that's one of the places that my mind is at right now, because I'm still building all these other things behind the scenes. But sorry, I have to readjust. I feel like I'm crushed by this microphone. The dog was sitting on me. It was when it moved, I froze up. So I've talked to several people lately about their businesses, and they're stuck. They feel like they don't know what to do when it comes to, getting new people in the door. And, it's hard. Sometimes with the economy that we live in, a lot of people don't have the extra money to spend on going out all the time or buying new clothes but I will say that no matter what, people are spending money, and it just depends on what they feel like spending money on, because, a crackhead always gets their crack, right? So if there's somebody who likes to go out and wine and dine, they're gonna find a way to do it. Same thing with people who want to get their hair done. They will find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. So you have to kind of target the right people. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. They get stuck. So that's where I come in hand, because I know a lot of people and I communicate with people on a daily basis, and I kind of do my own experimenting, and I ask people a lot of questions. So, and I know what people are doing. I know where they're at on the weekends. I know where they're at during the day. So I have a lot of ideas, and I would love to share them with you and your business, because I don't have a restaurant. I don't have a clothing store. I don't have a lot of things that I want, but instead of me being out there opening all these places, I want to be a part of your business and help you grow, because that's just something that I genuinely like to do. So same thing with my friend that has her floral company. I love flowers. I think they're beautiful. It's not something that I want. I don't want to have a flower farm. Do I enjoy going to the flower farm? Absolutely, because I like to pick my flowers and make my little arrangement and go on my merry way. I love to cook, but that doesn't mean I want to have a restaurant. I mean, maybe one day, but I'd have to clone myself, because I don't think I have enough time on my hands. But yeah, sometimes we get stuck behind the scenes and we don't really see what's happening in front of us. So like that happened to me for a while. In the middle of my divorce, I kind of gave up on the salon for a while, and I didn't realize that by me not being present and not putting my energy where it needed to be, things started to go downhill. And it wasn't just with the salon itself. It was the employees. Like a lot of people were unhappy because things weren't running smoothly. So you have to really, if you want something, you have to be passionate about it. You can't just expect it to just be good. You have to be there. You have to run it. And if you're not physically running it, you need to find somebody that's going to be able to do what you would be doing, because nobody's really ever going to care about your business as much as you do. So you have to find people who are willing to put the work, because there are people out there. Like I have some employees that are so amazing that they care about the salon like it was their own. So picture that happening, and then they see me falling off and I'm not there, and then I get sick, and I was so depressed, and like I was just like doing the wrong things. Like I was going out and like drinking, or like trying to like mask what was going on in my life, and I wasn't focusing on what I needed to do to grow. I was kind of just like stagnant, and then I started to go downhill. And I'll never forget, one day I was at home, and I think I might have talked about this before on a podcast, but I got a review, and I think it was like laying in bed. I don't even know. This has happened to me before. I'd be like getting a pedicure done, and somebody sends something in, and you're like, but when that happened to me, it was like an eye opener. And I was like, oh my God, like I need to fix this, and this. So I did it, and it helped for a while, but I still wasn't really there. And sometimes you need like an eye-opening experience and an actual very dramatic experience for you to make some changes. And I hate that it has to be like that, but sometimes it does. So last February, I had my 6th surgery for my breasts, because I had the whole breast cancer thing, yada, yada, yada. And this was a revision surgery. And I want to say it was like not even a full 24 hours after the surgery, I was sitting on my couch, and one of the girls texted me, and she was like quitting through text message. And at the time I was like, oh, whatever, it's fine. Like we didn't really get along anyway. I was like looking at it, I was like, oh, it's cool, whatever, no big deal. And then the next day, another girl texted me, and I was completely caught off guard, because when this girl came to work for me, I like took her under my wing. She was like she had a lot of anxiety, and she wasn't at the stage where she should have been for how long she was doing hair. So I took her under my wing, and I got her really busy, and I was pushing her, and I might have pushed her too much, because she was so busy, and she was making, I want to say like 3 or 4 times the amount of money that she was making with me versus the place that she was working at prior. So when she told me she was leaving, I was like, what? I'm like, why would you leave? Like I've been helping you make so much money. Like I didn't say this to her, but I'm thinking about it, and I was like, I don't get it. And she needed to repot her plant. Some people outgrow a place, and I look back at it now, and I'm like, she really needed to do that for herself. That was her time to make a shift. She needed to try something out, and that's okay. So when this happened, it like lit a fire in my ass, and I was like, that's it. I'm redoing the salon. So I literally I got up. I wasn't even a full day out of surgery, and I was like, I can't rest right now. I have to work. And I was luckily like home. I had nothing else to do. So I started to plan out this new layout of the salon. I was making phone calls and I was like, we're redoing the salon, got new chairs. I got new hardware for the stations. We painted. One of the things was I never let people wear black at the salon. And a lot of the stylists that one of them that left, that girl in particular, she always wanted to wear black. I'd be like, no, you're not wearing black. So like, that was her. She wanted to wear black. And I was like, no. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm going to let people wear black. I'm going to make changes because obviously there's things that I was doing that was affecting other people's like work life. So I revamped the salon and it felt so good. And I did repot a lot of the plants and now they're flourishing. So I was like, wow, I really needed to do that. What was holding me back? I don't know, but I needed that really hard situation for me to go through for me to make a change. So then, it's time's going by. And at this time I had 3 salons and it wasn't just me. I had a partner and I had a partner at one that had 2 partners at the other. And it was just, there were so many things going on. And I was like, I can't do all of this by myself. And even though I had partners, one of them was a silent partner, wasn't physically working there. I was trying to work at 3 places. Then I was like, I can't work at this one. I'll work at these 2. But the one that was at one, she didn't want to work at this one and this one. It was a big mess. It was a very complicated situation. And like I said, nobody's going to fully care about your business as much as you do. And it's never going to run as smoothly unless you're there. So made the decision to walk away from both of them. And I just stayed at my main location. Now, this was a really hard decision, but I had to do it because I could not continue to watch myself fail. And I felt like if I wasn't focusing 100% on my baby, then there was going to be more people that were going to leave, and God only knows what was going to happen. So the more present that I am there at the business, I feel the better it flows. I mean, I'm not sure everybody agrees with, they don't want me there all the time because I'm like on everybody. So I'll be like doing somebody's blow dry. I'll be looking in the mirror and I'm like, can you hold on a second? I got to like fix that rock over there in the corner. It's like out of place. But it's important. Like, I think that what I do is you have to pay attention to detail. Like, if I'm doing somebody's hair and I'm just like half-assing it and it's like, okay, but I'm charging this much money, that's not top quality service. I like to look at everything, like every little detail. So I think that the experience that you have when you're at the salon or at any business, people are going to be paying attention to detail. So people mess with me. They're like, oh, that light bulb's out. I'm surprised you have that light bulb. I'm like, just give me 5 minutes. I'll get the ladder. You know what I mean? Like, but that when I go to places, I see everything because I'm so particular. So there's this restaurant that had just recently opened up in a very nice hotel and it's beautiful. It's nice. The vibe is great. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, yikes, like those wires are showing. Like, that doesn't look good. And then I'm talking to the owner afterwards and I'm like, hey, can I like talk to you for a second? Like, I want to point out some things that I'm noticing that you can work on. But not everybody knows all of these things. And when I first opened, like I can't say that I'm not perfect by any means, but I really do try to have a nice like layout of what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I used to be like an A+. Now I'm like an A-, like a type A. I've gone from type A to type C to type B. I'm kind of working my way back up. But the more self-growth that I experience and the more I take care of myself and me, the more I want everything around me to be perfected. Because especially if your name is attached to something, if you're not putting your all into it, then that just kind of shows you that you don't really value yourself, you know? I know a lot of people could disagree with that, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to go to a dirty nail salon. I don't want to sit there and see like, oh, she just used those nail clippers on somebody else, you know? Like, so these little fine details that like someone like me notices, you might be running a business, you have no idea. Maybe somebody didn't come back to you because your fork was dirty at the restaurant, or like that somebody didn't come over to you and offer you water, or, you know, take the plate away after you're eating it. You know, like there's so many little tiny details that people miss. And, you know, some people let it go. But if you want high quality clients and customers, you're going to have to step up your game. And that's where I come in, because I will give you a full like critique on your business, because that's just who I am. I'm honest, and I would appreciate somebody to do the same thing for me, because people hold me accountable. So now it's time for me to hold them accountable. But yeah, so certain situations in your life, you need to move on. Sometimes you're not happy because you're in the wrong place. I've been watching these reels on Instagram, and it's like with the weather thing, and it's like, I don't really know exactly what it says, but something like some people are living in the wrong place, and that's why they're not happy, which is true. So that means you could be working in the wrong place. You could be doing the wrong job. Like you could have the wrong career. There's so many people that pick the wrong career. They think, oh, well, I want to do this because I'm going to make a lot of money, or I'm going to do this because so-and-so said that I need to do this, or like, I got to make sure that my parents are happy, or I got to make sure that my wife or my husband or whatever. And the same thing goes for relationships. People pick the people that they're going to be with almost based of other people's opinions and not their own. And I hate to say that, but it's very true. And I see it firsthand when I'm talking to people about their life. And I went through it myself. I was craving to have a family so badly when I was younger because I never had, like, my dad wasn't present like in the household. So I lived with my mom and my sister, but I always wanted to have a full family like all my friends did. And I like was looking in the wrong places clearly. And then when I did get married, I almost want to say that I forced my ex-husband to like get married because I wanted to get married so bad. I wanted to have the house. I wanted to have the nice cars. I was trying to prove to the world that I could do it. Just because my parents didn't work out doesn't mean that I can't have a great, successful marriage and family. But I was just doing it to impress other people. I wasn't doing what was best for me. So I had to try it out. I had to, have my failures and find myself. I had to literally rebuild myself from the bottom up, business-wise, personal issues that I was having, mentally, emotionally, physically. And now I feel like I'm finally at a good place where I don't care about impressing other people. I want to impress myself. I want to make myself proud. I want to grow. And I think that if you take care of yourself and people start seeing your glow, they're going to want to follow your lead. I have so many people messaging me on a regular basis that are like, you're so inspiring to me and I wish I could be like you. And honestly, you can. You just have to put the work in. Like I put the work in and you can too. And it's great because like now I even see my kids, like my son Anthony, he goes to the gym like all the time now. And like we'll be in the kitchen and I'll be like, yeah, I'm stronger than you. And he's like, no way, like I'm stronger than you. And then he's like, let's arm wrestle. And then we'll arm wrestle. But like it's cute because they're seeing the mom that's taking care of herself and not the mom that's crying in the corner with a glass of wine. So positive changes, positive growth. Everyone is capable of doing it. And like if I can do it, you can do it. And if you need help, then you call me and I can coach you on that because I needed a coach at a time and everybody needs a little kick in their ass and someone to hold them accountable. So that's what I'm here for. And that's what Collab with Gab is. And you can collab with me on anything you want. So if you are interested, send me a message and we can set up a consultation and we can go from there. But until then, we'll just have to see next time. I don't really know what else is. God, so many people have broken my heart. Broke my own heart for having such high expectations. You know what I mean? So there was a very close friend of mine who was like a sister to me. I had this person come into my life. I took them under my wing. I trained them from literal scratch, basically brought them into my family, made them part of my family. It's so hard because I feel like I was so close with this person. Maybe I was closer to the person than the person was to me, but I did a lot for this person and they did a lot for me too. I'm not gonna say they didn't because they were always there for me. But I felt like over the past like year, I felt like I was putting in most of the effort in like maintaining our friendship and felt like it was always me asking, oh, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? And then it'd be like, no, I don't really feel like doing this. But then I would see them on social media doing the things that I wanted to do with them with other people. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, what did I do? And it was hurtful because I'd be like, I don't get it. Like, and I felt like this with a lot of people over the past year. I felt like I was being like excluded and I felt like I wasn't wanted or needed. But the problem with all of that is that I was changing. Everything that I was doing in my life was different from what they were doing. And then it's like almost like the repotting the plant. I started to water myself in different ways and giving myself the proper amount of light that I needed to grow. And then I realized that it was time for me to shift. And during this shift, there was this situation that happened and I didn't even intentionally do this thing. It was like something so small in my eyes, which was apparently huge in their eyes. But I genuinely was not trying to hurt anybody. I really wasn't even thinking, I guess. But apparently this person, I think there was more build up than this situation, because the way that it was handled, in my opinion, was very mature. I feel like I could have gotten a phone call and we could have talked about the situation and actually like heard each other out, versus the way that it was handled. I was completely cut off. And at first I was like, whoa, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I would never do anything to hurt you. And it was just me apologizing, and like trying to validate like what I did and what I didn't do and blah, 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 blah. And then over a couple of weeks of just sitting with it and just like taking it in and like being like, wow, I really lost like my best friend. And then I said, you know what? I put this person before me for so long. Like, I treated them like they were better than me. Like, I didn't put myself first in a lot of situations. And I was like completely taken back. But I said, you know what? I need to focus on me, because I've been focusing on what's going to make that person happy versus what was going to make me happy for so long that I lost myself. So I'm like, wow, I really got to start putting me first. And I swear it was like a weight has been lifted. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, you don't realize that sometimes you're focusing on like the wrong things and you're putting your energy where it doesn't belong. And I'm not going to say that it was like all for bad. Like, I feel like we had really amazing experiences together. We've grown together, but I'm also at a different stage of my life than this person's in. And we both need to live our journey. And sometimes you got to look at it as a blessing in disguise. And just because, you know, friendships can fade away, and that doesn't mean that it's over forever. But at this exact moment in time, I'm not sure I'm ready to let this person back into my life. And I think it was more because my character and my integrity was questioned. And I think we both have completely opposite views on the situation, which is okay. And that's normal. And I'm understanding that people have different opinions and views. And I'm more than happy to talk about this issue when the time is right. But I don't want to feel pressured to talking to this person too soon and saying things that I don't want to say, or hearing things that I'm not really comfortable with hearing yet. I think time needs to go by, and we both need to live our lives. And as scary as that seems, that's just life. And you gotta just be prepared for these things to happen, because losing a friend is sometimes harder than having a breakup in a relationship, because you're so used to talking to these people every day and like telling them your secrets, and then all of a sudden it could be over in the blink of an eye. You just don't even know what the hell happened. But you know, that's why self-worth and self-respect is so important. And when you're not in the right state of mind, you're not going to put yourself first. But if you're not taking care of you and you're not giving yourself what you need, you're not going to be the best version of yourself that you can be and should be, that you're not going to be able to help other people. So if you're depressed and you're sad all the time, or you're angry because things aren't going the way that they should, then you need to work on that. That's something that's like you need to figure out. You need to sit with it. You need to learn how to cope with certain situations, and you need to learn how to move on. And you can't get so upset about little things. So for instance, when this happened to me, it was also one of those like fires were lit, and I was like, that's it. And I made so many positive changes that I actually feel like I feel great. And I thought it was the worst thing that happened to me in the moment, but sometimes you need that to happen to you. Picture like you have your plant. We're going to be talking today's plant day. Picture this beautiful plant is sitting on your desk, and all of a sudden the cat walks by and knocks the plant over, and you're like, not that pot, that was my favorite pot, I loved it, blah blah blah. And there's dirt all over the place, and you're like frantic and you're crying, you gotta clean it all up. And then you go and you get a new pot, and you're like, whoa, this is an even bigger, better pot than I thought. You know, I would have expected it to look like this. So then you put the plant in, you put new soil, and then you put it near the window. It's getting some light. You're watering it. And then all of a sudden in a week or two, you're like, holy shit, that plant looks better than it ever has before. Maybe it really just needed a new pot, and you would never have expected it. So situations happen and things happen. There's a lot of destruction that comes prior to the beauty of rebirthing and regrowth. And that's like, you know, with anything. So I don't really know how to explain it, but it's true. I mean, when you're redoing your house, for instance, you're like, okay, it's time to do the kitchen, time to do the bathroom. In the middle of the construction, it looks like shit. There's dust everywhere. You're arguing with the contractor. You don't think they see your vision. And then you're arguing with your significant other. The kids are on, everybody's crying, everybody's mad because everything's out of place, out of sorts. And then once it's all done and everything's over, you're like, oh, wow, I feel at peace now. And this is so beautiful. Like, you just got to learn how to deal and cope with the rebuilding part. And you got to learn and say, it's going to pass. It's kind of like, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like a stepping stone. Like it's just part of the process. And obviously sometimes it feels like shit, but I promise that if you're in a funk right now, or you're going through changes in your life and you think you're never going to make it through and you're never going to get over this hump, I promise you that you will, and you're going to feel even better on the other side. And, there's been moments in my life I would never have expected me to be where I am at in my life. Right? And every year and all the changes that I go through every year, I look back and sometimes I'm going through a moment. I'm like, this is horrible. This sucks, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, wait, but like, I'm still 10 times better than I was last year. Even though when you're going through it in the moment, it doesn't feel like that. If you look at the bigger picture, are you climbing up the stairs? Are you sitting on that step, or are you going back down? Because I'm climbing up. I want to see what's next. So I'm here for it. And now we're closing out because I really don't know what else to talk about now.